Hey everyone, welcome back to your practice. This session today I'm calling head and shoulders, knees and toes because essentially it's a full body joints warm-up. And I personally love to use a session like this when I'm feeling really sore from the adventures I go on. It could be a really great morning wake up as well. Or if you've been sitting at a desk for a long time, maybe you just feel like getting into all those nooks and crannies that feel like they're developing cobwebs. For this practice, all you're gonna need is space. You don't even need a mat, but you might wanna grab a broomstick. I'll show you some options with this. Usually you can screw off the end of your broom, and most of us have this lying around the house. So we'll just put that down. And we're gonna start in standing, so you can come all the way up to standing and widen through your feet. Take a moment to feel your feet on the ground. And we'll move into some swinging twists. So you can let your hips move with this and let your arms get loose and go from side to side. As you can see, I'm lifting up through the opposite heel from where I'm turning. And that's gonna give me maybe a little more rotation. Let's go for 5, 4, maybe you take a big breath in and out. 3, 2, and 1, and then come into the center there and take your fingertips onto your shoulders and start to circle through your elbows. So making big circles. And sometimes the tendency when we do this is to move our spine a little. So can you find more of a neutral spine? Back ribs lift, back of the skull goes back, and then really isolate your shoulders. So let's go for 5, 4, maybe taking some bigger breaths. 3, 2, 1, and shift directions. So changing and really describing a big circle with your elbows. Getting into that movement, seeing if you can keep your spine relatively still for 5, 4, maybe longer breaths here. 3, 2, and 1, and then we'll come back into center here and press out through our hands so it's like you're pushing into a door frame. Flip your fingers up, bend your elbows here, and then push out. And if you want to, you can make little circles with your hands, like you're washing a window, and go for 5, 4, 3, warming up the smaller muscles in the shoulders, 2, and 1, switch directions for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then bend, soften your shoulders, press out, and then turn your fingers in towards your armpits and press out through the top of your wrist. Circle into that. 5, 4, neutral spine, 3, 2, 1, switch directions, 5, 4, 3, this makes my shoulders tired too, and 1, and then bend, soften your neck in and press out through the top of your wrist and release your arms. Then take your right ear over your right shoulder, breath in there. You could reach your left fingertips down, depressing your left shoulder, opposite of where your ear is. And then circle into the center and over to the other side. And you could reach your right fingertips down opposite of where your ear is going. And then head into the center, and then a big circle, like you're drawing a circle with a long nose or something in front of you. And choose how far you want to go back. Can you keep your chest relatively still as you do this and isolate your neck spine? So other direction, circling into your neck. Into the center. All right, let's go for our spine. So you can take your hands behind your pelvis, thumbs moving into the midline, bend your knees, and then round through your spine as you roll up. Tuck your chin. And stick your butt out and arch through your spine and lift your chin. And then tuck your tailbone and round through your spine and tuck your chin. And stick your butt out and arch through your spine and lift your chin. So you don't have to think about it too much, but see if you can get a little more of a smooth wave going on. Let's do 2. Notice where you're feeling stuck. And 1. And maybe 1 more to close that one. I noticed that my neck is really stuck, right where my T-spine meets my neck. So just noticing those things. And then from here we'll work into our knees. So we're gonna slide our hands down to our knees and go onto the right edges of your feet, back onto your heels. And you can even lift the balls of your toes there. Take your knees to the left. So you're going onto the left edges of your feet, roll across the balls of your toes, and then circle. And you can even kind of come up on your heels as you do that. This one's kind of fun. Circling through your knees, and then you can switch directions and see if you can get control through the movement. A smooth, controlled movement. I'm hearing some little balls in my heels, those crunchies. It's kind of neat, feels like a pressure massage. 1 more time. Into the center, and then stay down in that kind of chair squat and see if you can kind of minimize back bend there. Sink your hips back and hold onto your elbows so they're about shoulder height, and then keep your hips still and swivel through your T-spine, your upper spine. We'll go for 5, can sit a little lower, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming into the center and standing up, and then we'll work into our ankles. So 1 foot, come up onto your tippy toe and describe a big circle through your ankle. So your knee might move, your hip might move, your spine might move, but go for really carving out a big circle through your ankle. And let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then switch directions. So start to find that big articulation through your ankle for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Okay, now we're gonna pick up our broomstick, take it behind our back of our neck, thanks to Lindsay Williams for this one, and hold on to it with our hands so the elbows drape a little bit. And we're gonna keep going with some twists through our spine. So start to twist, but get your hips into it. You can even lift up that opposite heel from the direction that you're twisting. And notice where you're stuck. Notice those places where you're stuck. I notice a bit of stuckness in my mid-back and at the juncture where my mid-spine meets my neck spine. So just noticing that. And then let's see if we can keep our heels plugged and our hips centered. So we're not moving our hips, but keep going with those twists. So more isolating. A little more in the upper spine perhaps. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come into the center there, and let's do a little side bend. So we're gonna side bend over to one side. You can kick your hip out a little. Notice if you're arching your spine or rounding your spine, and try to go straight over to the side, using that prop as a vantage point to see if you're going straight over. You can let your head hang here, come into the middle, go over to the other side. And then bring that up, and we'll take this prop over our heads. You can take it as wide as you need to. It's going to be a little more challenging, demanding with your hands closer together, a little less challenging with them wider apart. Try to take your outer armpits forwards and try, instead of back bending or collapsing forwards, try to stay more in that plumb line right in the middle. And then we'll go over to one side. Take a breath there. Up and into the center and over to the other side. and into the center. We'll go over to your first side again, and then little bobbing movements. 5, 4, 3, 2. Try to eke the stretch up into your armpit, your upper ribs. 1, come up into the center and over to the other side for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Up into the center, and you can let this release down. And now let's take it up and back behind us. So you could do this with arching your spine, and maybe you pulse back behind. You can take as wide of a grip as you need to, so just depending on your shoulders. Wherever you feel you need to pulse back there, go for that. Some of you will be able to kind of take it all the way back behind and all the way forwards. So if that's easy, what you can try is to minimize your back bend, tone your front ribs and your pubic bone towards each other, so there's a little closure at the abdominal wall in front, so you're not really back bending, and then see if you can make that movement happen without that back body contraction or shortening. So you're really isolating the shoulders, or you can pulse back wherever you get. You can also try taking your hands a little closer together and working that movement. Might minimize your range. Straightening out through your elbows and your wrists. Wherever you are, go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Okay, so you can take this down to the ground and step onto it. Just give yourself a little pressure massage for your feet. You can do 1 foot at a time if it's a little too intense. Some people, you might want to pause the video and linger in this one for a bit. Okay, then we'll slide that out and come down to the ground. So let's take our arms up like a sun salutation movement and fold forwards. Lengthen out there. Step back to a downward facing dog shape. And come down onto your knees. And on your knees, hands underneath your shoulders. We'll flip our left fingers all the way around towards our knees, or somewhere along that movement, and start to circle through our shoulders. And you can go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then switch out your right fingers and circle. See if you can keep a fairly neutral spine, long through your spine. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And this time, both hands, let's turn them in. And you might bend your elbows quite a bit for this one. Take your knees in a little closer to your fingers. Bend your elbows, flick your fingers into the floor, and then slowly start to straighten your arms. And let's breathe into that stretch for a couple breaths. You could also try gently spinning the veiny part of your elbow forwards. One more breath. And then releasing that out, you might flick out through your wrists a little bit. And let's tuck our toes back behind us and either walk your hands or elbows forwards and push your weight of your hips back onto your heels. So we're going for a bit more of a stretch through the soles of our feet. Or you can start to come up and sit on your heels with your toes tucked under like that. And then if you like, you can interlock your hands in front. Try to keep your pinky finger webbing tight as you push your hands forwards and take them up and over your head for a breath in. Breath out, lower that down. Flip your hands to face you and switch the webbing cross. So opposite index finger in front, pinkies tight. Up and over your head. Breathe in. And out. Come all the way down with that, hands to the floor, and then we're gonna take the tops of our feet to the floor And if you like, sit back on them and start to take your hands behind you and pulse your knees up. So you could go for 5, 4, anywhere you get in that movement of starting to lean back. 3, 2, 1. And then for some, we can come forwards, bring our knees right up, in, and stretch the top of the feet for a breath in. Anywhere you get along that, a breath out, and slowly lower that down. Okay, walk forwards. You might need to roll out your ankles after that. And let's inhale and arch through our spine. Again, spinal mobility here. And then exhale and round through our spine, tuck tailbone, push the ground away. You might do this with your breath. Find a breath in to arch, and a breath out to round and curl under. One more like that. Okay, good. Come to neutral. Let's step ourselves back towards a plank shape. Firm your legs. And let's let our hips drop and our chest pull through our arms like a toe tucked upward dog, and then push back up into like an angry cat plank. You might be right on your tippy toes. We'll do that 10 times. We'll lower down, supporting from the front of the abdomen, and then push back up and spread your shoulder blades wide on your back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, coming down onto your knees, shifting your way back, hips to heels. You can walk your hands way out front, let your forehead come down, breath in, and down. Okay, we're gonna come back so our hands are framing our knees, and press into our hands and see if we can lift our knees in towards our chest. So you might do that for a breath and lower down. You might press around your back, bring your thigh bones, your leg bones up into your chest, and lift one toe off the floor and push the ground away. And then lift the other toe off the floor and push the ground away. You might come down after that if you want. Backs of the hands down, press. And some of you might try lifting up, lifting one leg away, lifting the other leg away, and taking a breath. And lowering down. Backs of the hands down, press it out, roll onto your back. Let your head come down. I'm gonna keep my broomstick above my head for our final thing here. Right ankle on top of the left knee. Draw the left knee in towards your chest, and take your hands either behind your hamstring or on top of your shin there, and draw that whole unit, that figure 4 unit of your legs in towards you. You might wobble a little side to side, create those kind of pulsating or oscillating movements that we've been working with as a way of loosening up your fascia. Maybe you work with the sensation that you're experiencing with deepening your breath. If that interests you, you could take bigger, longer breaths. Last few moments here, let's curl everything in, draw your left knee in. Go for a little more intensity in the stretch. And then release that out. Take your right foot to the ground and let your knees fall to the right, and reach your top left knee away from you. Bring them into center. Let your knees fall to the left and reach your top right knee away from you. Switching sides, left ankle on top of right knee. Draw that in, hold onto your hamstring or on top of your shin. Maybe you're wobbling a little side to side. Using your breath to work with that sensation that you're experiencing. And you can curl up to make that stretch sensation a little more intense, drawing your right knee close in towards your right chest and armpit. Let everything go there. Feet hit the floor. Let your knees fall to the left and reach your top right knee away from you. And then roll across your pelvis. Take your knees to the right and reach your top left knee away from you. So nice. Okay, coming into the center. Last stretch here. Let's take our right knee in, but cross. So your right knee is going to point away from the midline. Lift your left knee up so it's airborne. And then catch your right foot with your left hand and pull your right foot in towards your left sit bone. Then you can plant your left foot or you can hold on to it with your right hand. So it's a bit of like an infinity shape. Sometimes this shape is called, this form is called. And then try to take your right knee out and down towards the floor until you feel just enough of a quadricep, the front of your upper leg, stretch there. And if you're arching your spine to make this happen, how would it feel to plug your spine down, use a little bit of that front abdominal support, and then reach the knee out and down with keeping your low spine close to the floor. You can draw your left knee in a little more as well, and that might change the feeling of stretch. Let's take a couple breaths into this one. And releasing it out, feet hit the floor, knees go right, left top knee goes away from you, knees go left, right top knee goes away from you. Into the center, so we're gonna let our legs come up and airborne, crisscross your left knee behind your right so that you can catch your left foot with your right hand. So it's opposite limbs there, opposite sides. And then you can either plant your right foot or take your knee and draw it in towards you. And aim your left knee out and down towards the floor. So you can check out if your back is arching, try to take your low back a little closer to the floor and then reach out through your bottom left knee and take a couple breaths. And release everything. So both feet hit the floor, knees go right, reach your top left knee away from you. Knees go left, take your top right knee away from you. Come back into the center, and if you have a broomstick and it's over your head, you can hold it with the backs of your hands facing the floor and the palms of your hands facing up. And take that right behind the base of your skull, so right where your neck spine plugs into your skull. So there's some muscles back there, occipital muscles, kind of that come across the two knobby bits at the back of your skull. So this might be a lot of sensation. If it is, you can always throw a blanket over top of it to soften it. That'll work to make it a little less intense if you're feeling really tight back there. Or if you get tension headaches and you've got jaw stuff or any of that, it might contribute to more tension or tenderness at the back of your skull. And this is also kind of a nice shoulder opener. So once you get in there, you can either kind of carve it right up, the prop pressure up into that zone of the base of your skull. You can also turn your head slowly side to side and massage that area. And some of that musculature is connected to your eyes. So maybe you explore also closing your eyes when you do this and letting your eyes sink back into your skull. You might pause the video and kind of get in there, or release that out and take a moment to let yourself melt for a couple breaths. Notice how your whole body feels. Any shifts, any changes, maybe noticing your mental state here. And stay here for as long as you like to rebound from that full body joints practice. Thank you so much for being here and your energy and attention. May you have peace.